Welcome friends to another Dune video. As established in the original Dune novel, Jessica chose to give birth to Paul for the love of her duke, disobeying the Bene Gesserit order she was raised in and messing with the planned bloodlines of many decades as they try to create the Kwisatz Haderach. So I ask you, the Bene Gesserit who do not follow the order's rules, what happens to them? How are they punished? Friends, let's find out. To answer this question, we look to the Winds of Dune, where the rulers of Ix are allies to the Atreides, and we look to Tessia, a Bene Gesserit. Just want to make one quick amendment to this video. After I had recorded the audio, I was saying the wrong planet for the Bene Gesserit sisterhood. I was saying, I believe, Welome 4. It is, in fact, of course, Welome 9, 1X. So, just to let you know that. Tessia is chosen by Rombo, the ruler of Ix, to be his concubine, and he wins her heart. Later, she gets new orders and is to be recalled to Welome 4 to bear more children, as the Bene Gesserit need various combinations of her genes. Tessia says no. One Bene Gesserit says, "It's only 3 daughters, nothing difficult." Tessia says she will only accept Rombo as a lover, and later in her private chambers, Tessia sees an intruder, and the voice is used on her. One word, silence. The voice means that her own is gone and her lungs will not take in oxygen. The Bene Gesserit who had used the voice on her was an expert. She could not resist it. It was the Reverend Mother Stokia. Stokia says the sisterhood's rules overrule those of the individual wants of people. Tessia says one word, fighting back. Refuse. The Reverend Mother says the sisterhood cannot have defiance without consequences. She says Tessia must feel what she has done and know her guilt. This is done with a new technique, a guilt caster. The book says a guilt caster is a woman able to manipulate thoughts and emotions to magnify a person's own doubts and regrets and reflect them back like a las beam ricocheting off a mirror. The Reverend Mother does this with the voice. She says Tessia must feel guilt, and in response Tessia feels an emotional weight come onto her. The Reverend Mother says Tessia, let them down. It hits her like a sharpened steel nail, and the Reverend Mother ends by saying, worst of all, you gave in to love. The weight of those words grew in Tessia. Each phrase became a scream. She closed her eyes, shuddered, tried to withdraw into a corner. A small part only of Tessia could see what was being done to her, and that how she felt was being exaggerated by the guilt caster. The words echoed in her consciousness, and she could find no retreat from it though. Then, as the book tells it, Stokia stood at her doorway ready to depart. Never forget that you belong to the sisterhood. Heart, mind, soul and flesh. You exist to serve. Contemplate that in your personal hell. With a dismissive gesture and an uttered syllable, Stokia slammed the curtains of guilt back down around Tessia. Rombo finds his concubine alive but not responding. The Bene Gesserit are called and say that she must be taken away, that she had collapsed due to the pressures of serving Rombo and the Order. Jessica later runs into Tessia, and she has aged. She says she's the only person to emerge from a guilt casting, and she says her husband is dead, and that she was forced by the sisterhood to give them children the way they had requested. But now recovered, Tessia says she has her own mental defences, and asks Jessica what they want of her. In response, Tessia advises Jessica. She says, have it ready at the forefront of your mind. Use it to guard yourself. They will not suspect you can stand against them, even for a moment. Guilt casting is a psychic storm, but it can be weathered. And then Tessia teaches Jessica. They later try to use a guilt caster on Jessica, several in fact, to get her to kill Paul. And the guilt is cast, but she fights with her love for Leto and their son and throws off the attacks, and she heard screams of pain as she inflicted echoes of guilt on her casters. As moments passed and she gained the upper hand, she stalked off down the trail, leaving the sisters reeling and moaning. Later, Tessia's son, though not by blood, Bronzo allies with face dancers to infiltrate Wallach 4 and find out where his mother is. They get in disguised as gardeners, and Tessia emerges, having received a coded message in a family code she knew. Tessia knows the dangers of leaving, but will not spend another moment there under their control. Tessia hides as arranged, and they take her safely away, and she is finally free of them. Jessica is later met by Bronzo, who says Tessia still faces danger. He asks Jessica to help him to look after his mother. She agrees to take her to Caladan. The danger in question is her son Bronzo is secretly working for Paul Muad'Dib or Paul Atreides to try and tear down the myth built up around Muad'Dib. This shows us the deeply questionable techniques the Bene Gesserit are willing to use, even against their own members, when those sisters do not follow the rules that have been laid down for them. Now, friends, I turn this over to you. Did you enjoy this edition on Bene Gesserit Law? Do you have any ideas for further videos or questions you would like to ask that I can answer? Go ahead, comment down below.